And here we are once again. Battlefield 6 is a victory in the eyes of the public, and more importantly, for us gamers. Yeah, sure, the game does have some problems, but all in all, I think it's good. I think people are happy with it. But on this channel, we don't care about the opinion of the public. In these situations, that's right, boys, we care about, is it financially feasible? Oh yes. And today we're going to be finding out, is Battlefield 6 actually worth it? Was this a financial success? And well, my predictions couldn't leave it everything that I have found, just researching a little bit here that we're gonna go over. And don't worry, the math's gonna be fun. And if you can hear my phone vibrating, don't worry about it. That's just some Asian girl who's rich, and we're talking about making babies. But don't worry, there's a lot of explaining there, but don't worry, okay? Don't worry about that part. In any case, let us delve into, is Battlefield 6 an actual financial success? Is it fiscally valid, if you want to sound fancy about it? So, first of all, there are a couple of things that we should know about Battlefield 6. It started off to 747,000 people peak, which was really good. On a Friday, by the way, mind you, that is. But I already in the previous videos called out that these graphs are very, very, very untypical. The dead gamer, turns out, is not a meme, by the way, because the peak for any normal game, I'm gonna go over this real fast in case you remember my explanations for yesterday. The peak of any game is typically around a 19 UTC if you're looking at this chart. And then any good game works, keeps getting more players until roughly 12 midnight. And then if it's really good, it typically, keeps its player base until 2 or 3 in the morning, which Battlefield did. It kept the players interested for such a long time, and it did the same, by the way, here, which is kind of insane. But it completely collapsed when how typical graphs work. It peaked out at 14 UTC on a Friday, which is insane. So we're technically working with a completely different set of data than we usually are. This is something I personally have not seen before, and I have seen a lot of these charts. Okay? Reminder, as Pirate Software has worked 7 years at Blizzard, I worked for the government in analytics. Oh yes, business finance, actually. So, it's fun stuff. You lie a lot in the government, fun fact. Oh, but yeah, so this is pretty interesting. But all in all, the most important part about these graphs is the fact that on the Saturday, it did not breach a new high, and even on Sunday, it did not. Friday is actually typically supposed to be worse than these 2 days. Because Fridays everyone's going out and whatnot, and on Saturdays people with lives also sometimes go out. But Sunday is supposed to be the big hitter, and it did not even come close to topping the peaks. Okay, so this is very concerning actually for Battlefield as a general premises, because this means there's a very good chance it could start hemorrhaging players really fast. Other than that, Battlefield has a reported budget of 400 million, which is complete fucking bullshit. If you do not know that all of these budgets are lies, these companies have absolutely no obligation to be truthful about their budget. A greatest example of this is still Assassin's Creed Shadows, which the CEO of the company of Ubisoft, who made the game, Yves Guillemot, said that this game only costed 116 million to make, which is pure fucking bullshit. The Prince of Persia Sands of Time last game that was a 2D side scroll, it costed 200,000 million. So yes, this is a lie. Again, there's no punishment for any company lying about their budgets. As funny as this, Hollywood lies about every budget. Hollywood relies up to 3x time, and I think the games industry probably is close to it. I would assume that Battlefield, that a Battlefield 6 was most likely 600 to maybe even a billion, because you need to understand this was their this was their huge try. This was their absolute big all or nothing game. So the idea that it's only 400 million budget, completely impossible. Minimum this is 600 million, and I think they can easily go to a billion. But you know, for the sake of argument, let's say it's just 600 million. We can adjust these numbers on as we go. After that, we need to know the price tag of Battlefield 6. We're going to do some very easy stuff here. And it's 70 euros, which is the same for USD as far as I can tell. And we know that there have been reports that EA reportedly expects Battlefield to have 100 million players. Okay, players, and we can roughly actually judge the player amount that that was actively playing this game from this number right here currently. Your active player amount is at the start it's just another zero to this. Later on it's 2 zeros, you know, for you to get 10k average player base, we talked about this yesterday for Fallout, you probably need roughly 1 million people playing it monthly. That's how these things tend to work out. So at the start, this is just an extra zero. So right now, wait, actually, yeah, right now, we're kind of looking at maybe close to 7 million copies sold. Oh, copies sold, I'm sorry. Did I previously say players? Well, it's a similar number, honestly. But copies sold. For copies sold, it's pretty much just add the peak extra zero and then plus or minus up to 50% depending on the hype. And Battlefield 6 actually had a lot of hype. There was a lot of good about it. So we can go up to almost 50%. Almost 50% to the sales. So let's say Battlefield 6 actually has sold 10 million copies right there effectively at this point. I know it seems like a little bit of a stretch at the end of the day, but you know, let's say it has sold 10 million copies at this point. Pretty decent, pretty decent. That's way better than we typically engage with a 75% positive review score at Steam. By the way, hilarious. The EA launcher was fucked up, so people refunded it on EA's launcher and went to buy it on Steam. So we don't even have to actually think about consoles at this point. They're completely irrelevant. Maybe 2 million players if we're being super generous, but in general, I don't think it matters. Again, so EA reportedly expects Battlefield 6 to have 100 million players, which is 3 times more than the series' bestseller, which is over a period of time. Also, by the way, so if they're gonna achieve this, I honestly, seriously doubt it, because this is an absolutely insane thing. This was Battlefield 5. The Battlefield 5 release on Steam, and it literally had only 114k players. And Battlefield 6 needs to effectively has outdone this by, well, almost 7 times, which is very good, not gonna lie, but it's still a little bit lacking, if you ask me, to get that 100 million player count. EA's goal, as you can see from multiple sources, by the way, has been that 100 million players, which is, by the way, a strange way to actually talk about this, which means I think this is what I said, that they're gonna add some kind of battle pass skins or unlocks or something like that for money, because if you're not gonna have that, if you're not gonna have any of that, then you would not care about million players. You would literally be talking about how many people bought your game. And well, we can do a little bit of fast calculations, right? So let's set the budget at 600 million. Let's just work on it from the start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this 100,000, 10,000, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is 600 million, correct? Yes, yes, yes. This is 600 million. And, well, then we need to divide it by, let's see. So how many copies are we're gonna say that we have sold here, right? Well, let's say we have sold yeah, let's just say 10 million copies. How about that? How about them potatoes? 10 million copies. 10 million copies have been sold. That's a lot of copies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we're gonna get 60. That's actually not bad. So, well, actually, we kind of knew that that's 600 million budget and 10 million copies sold. Is it 10 million? Did I actually write it correctly? 3? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's so 60. They need to get $60, $60 for every single copy sold to break even. This is how much every single copy needs to cost for them to break even at this point with a budget of 600 million. Well, considering we know that the average price that the price of this game is $70, that means that they have already made 16% cent profit. They already have roughly made 16% profit. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll actually say 17% if you round up. They have made already 17% profit. Now, granted, this is obviously without the Steam cut. The Steam cut would be the Steam cut was 40%, correct? So 40%, so 40% of 60 is plus 24. So that is 84. They need to make 84 buccarinos per copy to make this thing be equal. Now, granted, this is not counting in any deluxe editions or anything like that. So, by the way, is the way that I did the numbers previously better because it was a little bit more extensive? I'm kind of skipping a lot of things and currently just getting to the stuff that matters. But currently, well, you know, with this number right here, and again, this costing 70, we now know that, well, they are currently actually a negative $14 in value, because if you minus 70 off of this, you get $14. So they're missing still $14 per sale. And if we take the price of a thing and we divide it with 14, 5. So they need to sell only 200,000 copies at this point to actually kind of break even, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Actually, more. What am I talking about? They need to sell roughly 500,000 copies to break even. Or let's just say 1 million. Then we know that they are definitely in the clear for breaking even. But all of this is assuming that that's a budget only of 600k. Okay? And again, the reality is, I think that's the minimum. Maybe this Battlefield 6 can easily go up to 1 billion because EA put everything they had into this. No expense was spared for Battlefield 6, and their lofty, ambitious goal of 100 million people kind of just corroborates the fact that their budget was probably more. They have probably taken on pretty heavy loans to accomplish this. There is a lot going on. There is a lot going on with this. So currently, it looks like Battlefield 6, if we're being pretty generous about things, has broken even. Almost. Like, they're this close to breaking even. But again, as I said previously, breaking even does not actually mean that you're going to be making the next game, because loans and things like how those things work, and the fact that the player base it did not exceed a new high. And well, we're probably going to see a serious decline by the end of the day, so I don't even know how that's going to go. Let's actually refresh. Well, it's going up, and it's 1 UTC. Let's compare it to 1 UTC previously. Oof! There's no way this is real, right? Oh! If we compare this to 1 UTC, this is already a noticeable, like, 20% drop in, what, 3 days? 20% drop in 3 days is probably not what they were what they were hoping for. So yeah, I would say that Battlefield 6 currently is, well, we're gonna see Battlefield 7. I think that's a guarantee. But is this, well, I can guarantee you, considering that EA was expecting 100 million players, this is not happening. And you need to understand, when these companies are talking, oh, we expect this much, they actually do expect that much. And this is a wild number. This is a fucking wild number that I don't think they're gonna actually get. So, can the microtransactions make up for this? In Borderlands situation, it was very clearly that Borderlands is fucked. But in Battlefield situation, I mean, we're definitely breaking even. I think we're breaking even. Now, granted, if I am pretty generous here, honestly, by saying that Battlefield has sold 10 million copies, we can easily go with a safer estimate of 7 million copies or 8 million copies, which would mean that they need 20% more than previously. So they were at that they needed 60, then we did it at 84 and now they need a 1.4 because that's 40% more. So they need so if they have sold 7 million copies, then they need to double it. Yeah, everything checks out. God, I'm pretty sure you can't follow the way that I'm fucking speaking now. This is horrible, isn't it? There's no way most of you can follow this fucking train of thought. There's no way. Annoying. But yeah, if we're being generous, then Call of Duty needs to sell 2 times more copies, which they're probably gonna do in a month. I feel pretty confident that they can sell that much in a month or two, or they will add microtransactions and they're going to be breaking even. But all in all, I don't think EA is going to be happy with these numbers. But we will see Battlefield 7 with everything that currently has happened. That's for sure, it seems like. In any case, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Bye!